The Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, has clarified his position on the idea that a vote to leave the European Union could force Brussels to give Britain a better deal and trigger a second referendum.
Counting's due to start later this morning in Ireland's general election.
Exit polls suggest that no party will win an overall majority and that the governing coalition will struggle to retain its majority in the Irish Parliament. Chris Buckler reports. The UK's entry for this year's Eurovision Song Contest has been chosen.
Yes, Joe and Jake, who met on the BBC One talent show The Voice, won the public vote with their song You're Not Alone, as Keith Doyle reports.
Not this time, though.
No. Again. 8 minutes past 6. We've got some pictures of an American surfer. He's won more than £50,000 after successfully riding a 60-foot wave at a competition in Hawaii.
Time now is coming up to 9 minutes past 6. We'll have the weather with Alex and the sport with Mike a little later. Now, the ceasefire in Syria appears to be holding this morning. It's the first time a pause in the country's 5-year civil war has been negotiated by world powers.
Let's speak to our correspondent, Lena. It's coming up to 6:15 on a Saturday. Let's cross to Alex for the first time this morning with the weather, shall we? Hi, Alex.
We'll be back with you with a summary of the morning's news at 6:30. But now on breakfast, it's time for the film review. You've got Gavin Essler and Mark Commode to keep you company. I know, apparently, that the public voted for the Eurovision Song Contest song. We came last.
So we haven't got a great track record.
No, it's not going to happen this time.
Don't we come last, whoever chooses?
Not this year. Not this year. So you think, Mike? It's a big one.
Rumour has it it's going to be quite a nice weekend.
I know. Don't tell anyone.
Let's find out more,
Because I think...
We'll check in with Alex again a bit later. Let's have a quick look through the morning's front pages, shall we? The Daily Telegraph today is having that political story, the fact that...
The Times, taking a look at Boris in Europe U-turn.
The Mirror's front page has what it calls a tragedy.
The Daily Mail is taking a look at...
The Guardian's front page has an amazing picture.
Time now is 20 minutes past 7. We're talking about people infected with Lyme disease now in the UK, and they've had to wait up to 30 years, or some have had to, for correct diagnosis. This is according to a new study.
Yeah, researchers have found that the condition is so poorly understood by healthcare professionals that NHS services only correctly identified the disease in about a quarter of cases. So what is it exactly and how do people get it?
Well, it's about... 7:27 is the time. It's one of the most famous symbols of Britain's Industrial Revolution, but Ironbridge in Shropshire is beginning to show its age.
Yeah, cracks and stresses in the iron itself, which is more than 200 years old, mean that it needs now millions of pounds worth of repair. It's the biggest project ever carried out by English Heritage, and Phil Mackey has been to see what is involved.
A stunning structure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely great. We'll be with you shortly with the headlines.
Hello there, good morning. This is Breakfast on a Saturday morning with Naga, Munchetty and John Kay.
Coming up before 8 o'clock, we'll get the weather with Alex and the sport with Mike.
But first, at exactly 7:30, let's get a summary of this morning's main news. And a temporary truce in Syria appears to be largely holding this morning in the few hours since it came into effect, although...
The Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, has clarified his position on the idea that a vote to leave the European Union could force Brussels to give Britain a better deal and trigger a second referendum.
Counting's due to start later this morning after yesterday's general election in Ireland. If you think American politics is controversial at the moment, what about the Eurovision Song Contest? And the UK has its entry chosen. Really, is that right? Oh, dear me.
Never mind.
We're not good judges.
I don't think it can happen twice.
It's another year.
Talk about pouring water on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Optimism. And after
morning, Joe and Jake.
Night,
yeah, well done.
No, you'll be fine. They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be in here to talk. Nearly 8:25 on Saturday. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. It's time to look at the papers. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this Saturday morning. It's Breakfast with Naga, Munchetty and John Kay.
Coming up before 9 o'clock, Alex will have the weather, Mike will have the sport. But first, we're going to bring you up to date with the main news. A temporary truce in Syria appears to be largely holding in the few hours since it came into effect. There are reports, though, that 2 people have died in a car bombing in Hama.
Some news from American politics, and Donald Trump's campaign to become the Republican presidential candidate has received a boost after his former rival Chris Christie formally endorsed him. Mr. Christie, who's the governor.
The UK's entry for this year's Eurovision Song Contest has been chosen.
There's a lot of love for them on the message boards this morning. Loads of people messaging in saying they like the song. They've only heard a bit of it today, but they think it's got a chance.
Mike knows more about them.
Yeah, he does.
It looks like Words Will Gummidge, did you?
Well, I didn't say. I said it's a bit like Wheels of Gummidge, having several...
I resign.
Time now is 8:45. We'll get the weather with Alex shortly.
Let's talk money, shall we? Because if you use a credit or debit card to book a ticket online for a gig or for a sports match, you probably expect that you're going to have to pay a surcharge. But apparently, news this morning that some theatres and concert halls are charging you extra even if you're there in person to buy it and even if you're using cash.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's one of the things that Moneybox is looking at today. We can talk to presenter Leslie Kerwin. Things to mind when I hear you go through that list and staff's included in that and the cost of the building, whatever, upkeep. Surely that comes into the ticket price, not an extra. That's what you'd expect to pay for the ticket.
You might expect that, wouldn't you?
And see Carl perform Il Trittico. It's a tough one.
Right again.
At the Royal Opera House on until the 15th of March. Thanks so much.
Great headlines coming up next.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, of course not.
Always optimistic. Let's talk to you about an American surfer who's won more than £50,000 after successfully riding a 60-foot wave at a competition in Hawaii. Take a look. Time now is 12 minutes past 9. We'll get the weather with Alex shortly, but first let's talk FIFA. It's been a tough year for world football's governing body. Accusations of bribery, corruption, they've led to the arrest of officials and the sacking of President Sepp Blatter.
Well, now there's a new man at FIFA at the top. He's vowed to restore the organisation's credibility. His name is Gianni Infantino. Get used to that name, you're going to hear it a lot. He's also promised to spend more money on football projects all around the world.
The UK's entry for this year's Eurovision Song Contest has been chosen. Hello.
Hello.
How
Morning.
you doing?
Morning.
Might as well just tell the viewers for joining us on the sofa. We just saw you in camera, so we thought we'd better explain who you were. And it's really difficult to sneak a rugby player, especially of your size, onto the sofa. Little people we can do. You not so much.
Try to be subtle, didn't we?
Let's tell you about the Eurovision Song Contest. The song to represent the UK has been chosen.
Minutes to go, good luck.
It's 9:43. Good morning. Let's turn our attention to something much less controversial, much cleaner. The Oscars. It's Oscars night tomorrow night. It's always pure Hollywood, isn't it? But tomorrow's ceremony will have, well, more than a little bit of British glamour attached.
Yeah, 24 out of the 24 categories, 21 have British nominees. They're all vying for success. And our entertainment correspondent, Lise Mzimba, is in LA. He's been catching up with some of them as they're getting ready for the big night. Riches to Riches is on BBC Two tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. That's it from us this morning.
Yeah, have a great Saturday. You're back tomorrow morning, Christian?
No, I'm not.
No, you're not?
I'm off. No, it's not me.
OK, somebody will be here with Christian
Someone's here
tomorrow
with Christian.
morning. Have a great Saturday.
More, bye.